In Baltimore and conversation, and not just stick to sports, although this does have a lot of sports in this one. All of our WNST community and charity reports are brought to you by our friends at Howard Bank. A relentless commitment to being the best at everything they do. Branches throughout Baltimore and through Maryland. Every person at Howard Bank is empowered to help you. Go see them at howardbank.com, as well as our friends at Cole Roofing. I'm enjoying a little Rofo Kona blend here out of my Cole Roofing mug. You need them if you have a commercial roof space. The wind, the rain, and the heat's going to be coming here soon. Cole Roofing believes in the community and supporting everything we're doing around here. They also believe in keeping your roof space clean, as well as Fister Energy, and maybe turning your roof space into a profit center for you and making the environment a better place. I've got a guest here this week that I'm so excited about having on. I don't know her. I know of her work. I've seen her posters all over town. I tracked her down a couple of years ago when I fell in love with an animal, and she has now read my story. She runs Show Your Soft Side. If you've ever seen my fellow altar boy Johnny Rollo run around and talk about being a tough guy, loves his animals, and I know he's inspired me in the early part of this as a fellow altar boy at the Our Lady of Fatima many, many years ago, for him to step out and be a big, big part of Pawject Runway, which we're going to be promoting here. But Sande Riesett has been doing this, and I don't even know the whole story, so I'm very, very interested in meeting you and knowing you, because I've seen your athlete friends of mine and everyone from Jarrett Johnson and Torrey Smith and down the line with their beloved animals, to celebrities and local people here, and I know the legend of you. It is really, really nice to have you on the program. Sande, welcome in. Tell your story here at WNST for us.
Thank you so much for having me and for being willing to talk about Show Your Soft Side. It is an anti-animal abuse campaign that we launched back in 2011. And it came about because there was this whole series of horrific abuse incidences, a puppy beaten to death in a public park, a cat set on fire, a dog set on fire, and all of these things happened at the hands of kids, some as young as 10 years old. And at this point, I had never worked in animal welfare or rescue, but...
What's your background, Sande?
Advertising.
Advertising, cool. Okay.
Yeah. So what finally sent me over the edge was 2 teens were charged with setting this one dog, Phoenix, on fire. And it ended in a hung jury, and the city debated whether to retry them because of cost. And I was so appalled, first of all, that kids would do this, and second of all, that there would be, that you'd be willing to just say, oh, never mind, and walk away because of money. And I think bottom line for me growing up, the best part of childhood was, my dog and my cat. So I just wanted to do something, and had this idea that if we could show kids that, the people they look up to, and the people they look up to happen to be big, tough guys who are big and bad in their fields, that they have this soft side for animals, that maybe it would start to resonate, and it would be
It makes you a better person. I mean, let's just start with that. Anyone who's been... I don't want to say converted. I grew up with dogs. I grew up with cats. I had a cat when my son, was a child. We had Poe, and for me, it was more about traveling the world and getting out, not feeling it would be fair for me to have an animal. And my wife and I argued for the first 9 years of our marriage until we got our animal. And I promise you, it's changed me as a human being. And I was well into my 40s. Didn't think I was a bad guy to begin with, but the soft side of having now our second cat, whom we love dearly, and if I can coax her into the frame here, I'll bring her in, Sande. But I show her off enough on the internet and her unique ability to fetch. But what you're doing with Pawject Runway coming up in a couple weeks, I know Frank Remish has been involved with this, and our friends down at the Royal Farms Arena, also our sponsors here, that you've put together this sort of Grammy or Oscar night for the animals, and I think that's kind of cool.
It is. This is our signature event. Happens once a year. The Softies model adoptable cats and dogs from Barks, and we started it back in 2012. but it's gotten so big now. We moved it to the arena. Frank Remish and everybody at the arena is amazing. They donate everything. But these guys, everybody who models continues to come back. So the show keeps getting bigger and bigger. Like even, Lawrence Guy went to the Patriots 2 years ago, but he comes back. Tori has never missed one. He actually took the red eye from San Francisco 1 year so he'd be here in time. So I also, it's like the biggest softie reunion of the year. And people come in from around the country. It is just a really fun night.
Well, I think, once you become ingratiated into this crazy world of loving animals or being a pet owner, I'm not one to sit and watch the Westminster Dog Show, but I am one to sit and watch the movie, right, about the one making fun of it, and having a good time with that over the last 25 years. But my wife's trying to bring the cat in with with treats so we can get her in the shot here at this point. But she doesn't. I don't know if she wants any part of it. But I guess now and I have to soften my voice. But this is our Nala, and for anybody watching on our Facebook Live or on our YouTube. She's not much for the treats here right now, and I think we woke her up. She's pushing the treats away and saying, I don't want to be on video. But the connection made with athletes, and Ryan Jensen and I had an incredible conversation about it earlier in the year, Nick Boyle as well, and to your point with Lawrence Guy and Torrey Smith and these folks coming into town, and I think it does suck you in. And I think when we lost our girl, it was the most devastating. I mean, I lost my mom and my cat within 4 weeks of each other, and I would tell anybody the cat was it was an incredible tragedy, an incredible loss for us, and we went and adopted, and we're through Be More Humane. We've gotten both of our little creatures, but there are so many people in this country doing the kind of work you're doing, but can never get it to this point where you've got an arena, you've got celebrities, you've got posters, you've got radio dudes like me ready to jump on the table and say, help Sandy out. What is the upshot of all of this 7-8 years later that you've made a lot of posters, you've raised money? Lord knows how many animals you could attribute to this, but, give me some sort of summation of all of this work, because I'm very familiar with your work, but tell me on the street how do we measure this, what you've been able to do here?
Well, there are a couple things. One, I think what this has really shown us is that people want to help, and they don't quite know how. And I think it's the case with our softies. We now have about 170 of them across the country, and the majority of them have gone on to get more involved. They've lobbied for legislation. They've helped their local shelter. They've promoted, adoptable animals. They've raised funds either here for Barks or in other cities for their own local shelters. So we've built this kind of army of celebs that are now finding a way to help. And our social marketing platforms, not a week goes by that we don't get a request from a rescue or shelter to either help promote or from people. In fact, last week, there's a case right now in Baltimore County. There's a warrant out for a guy accused of beating a Chihuahua to death with a bottle, and they can't find him. And somebody we don't even know that follows us contacted us and said, we want to put up a reward. So that's been going on behind the scenes, and that'll be made public. But people reach out to us to how they can help. We also, we provide these materials. Somebody said to me once, oh, so you make posters. Yes, we make posters, but we will send them to any school, any class, any kids group in the world. And with teachers having so few resources, they eat this up. These are free. They can paper their classroom with these, big tattooed tough guys holding little kittens. And finally, we have 1 million love stories. I could go on forever about the shoots where a softie was going to sit in with a rescue animal, fell in love, and adopted it. In fact, we just had one of the Jaguars. The kitten that he was photographed with kept nuzzling and chewing on his beard, and he filled out an adoption app and took him home the next day. So it's really cute. So I feel like we help create some love stories, and So all that feels good.
Well, I got a love story right now. She's on my lap. She's been cooing, and I'm sure she will probably at some point yell into the microphone here if she doesn't crawl off of me. But she's been having some fun. She was 1.8 pounds. We brought her home. We brought her home on the day the Ravens played at Oakland. We were so distraught that I missed a Ravens road game in Oakland. That would tell you how distraught we were when we lost Kitty. And she's leaving me now. I think she's gonna jump out. Sande Riesett is our guest. It's Show Your Soft Side. It's all part of our community and charity campaign. It's all brought to you by our friends at Howard Bank, as well as our friends at Cole Roofing. Give everyone the Pawject Runway rundown, Sande. Tell everybody how they're getting involved. And how many of these posters have you made, and where have you made them? Because I've seen so many of them, and I don't even know. I can't count how many I've seen and how many different people I've seen at various places around town.
Well,
not just in Jody Berg's office either, too, by the way. So.
I'm very upset those have faded, but we have, I think we just recently counted, we now have 170 official softies from across the country. So that's, and the bulk of them have been shot by our photographer, Leo Howard LeBeau. There were a couple, like Tommy Lee of Motley Crue, his photographer photographed him, but 170, and I'll tell you, it's a lot to keep track of because, again, they want to help. I mean, you said earlier you were talking with Ryan Jensen. I mean, God bless him. I can text and say, "Would you do this interview? Would you show up here at a certain?" And they're
he's a special guy, and he's going to take that to Tampa. He's going to take that everywhere he goes. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And for you also, these, Torrey going out to San Francisco, winning a championship in Philadelphia. I know he's out on the front of your site right now because he's a Super Bowl champion. And a champion of a guy as well. For all the things that he's trying to do back here in the community. And Lord knows we're going to be featuring everything from animals to people to churches to golf tournaments to cancer patients and all my wife's been through with leukemia and children in the community. There's so many great causes, and I think animals are one of those things that if you've ever had an animal in your life and been involved, you want to help, you want to pitch in, and you and Frank and John and everyone put together sort of this Grammy night, this Oscar night. People get dressed up and come down, right?
Well, it's casual. I mean, it's a real family night. But I think, the stars that night are the animals. The kiddies come out decked in tutus and fairy wings and the latest in pet
all the stuff my
fashion.
wife tries to put on our cat that our cat doesn't like, quite frankly.
Right.
I'm like, don't torture the cat with a tutu. Cat doesn't want a tutu on.
But I think that's also what makes it so fun is that here are these Super Bowl champs and everything, and they're out there with everybody else, giving chin rubs and head bonks. So, everybody wants to cuddle the animals. So it's just fun and easy, and like I said, a very family event. We have, from little kids on up. Well,
I'm glad I coaxed my cat at least into the shot around here. Tell everyone if they don't do Pawject Runway and what you do other than take beautiful pictures with animals and with people. I'm sure you're doing many other things throughout the course of the year in addition to just the really cool promotional kind of work you're doing.
We are, we partner with a program called Love Leads, where these leads are provided. They're a humane way for first responders to catch loose animals or stray animals or animals in a bad situation. So we do that. We have the Little Man Fund, which we raise money for all the, there's a whole army of people who are out there every day feeding and caring for these cats that are living on the street. So we do that, and we tell, again, teachers and schools, contact us, and we'll be glad to send you materials free of charge. We also do a lot of fun events, but Pawject Runway is it's the best. It's just so much fun that night. And I just want to say, tickets are only $35. You can get them we have a website set up, pawjectrunway.org. So it's very easy, and it's Saturday, May 5th, and we hope that a lot of people will be there.
You know what I love is I do radio in the modern era. You know me, I'm an old guy, right? So in the old days, all we had were newspapers and books and media guides. Now you just say to me, pawjectrunway.org, and I'm typing literally, and here, and next thing I know, the site's up, and bang, and here we go, enter the site, and all the information you need is right there. Purchase ticket sponsors, you can meet the models, a silent auction, and whether you want to donate an auction item. I know we have a lot of sports fans out there with stuff. There's a whole media gallery for all the cool stuff up here, and all of your sponsors as well. We will look forward to supporting you. That is Kentucky Derby night. Am I correct in saying that?
No, I don't.
That is a Kentucky Derby night. Yes, it is. Saturday, May 5, correct?
Okay.
There it is. So the Derby's going to run early. I'm going to be down at Laurel, and we hope to see you guys at the Royal Farms Arena right after that. How about that? What time's the festivities get going for you guys?
It's 6 o'clock. It runs about 6 to 10.
Beautiful. Well, keep up the great work, Sandy. We'll send everybody out to show your soft side. Appreciate all your support. I love the work that you've done. And I love the conversations that I've had with John Rollo and with football players over the years about our animals. A little side story because Johnny, first off, I played Little League with John. I carried the altar boy, drank the church wine at Our Lady of Fatima, the whole deal. His dad was my Little League coach. His dad used to pick us up to go play Dundalk Pop Warner Little League. He was always 30 pounds bigger. He was always bigger than the rest of us. And he ran the ball back then. Nobody wanted to tackle him. It was kind of like Earl Campbell back in 78 and 79. But, for him, I saw him one day doing a cat adoption video on Animal, Planet or something on TV. And my wife and I saw that, and she's like, you know him? I'm like, yeah, I know him really well. And she's like, well, you should talk to him when it's time to adopt a cat. And we had talked forever. And one night I was doing dishes, and my wife and I were 8.5 years into our marriage, and she said, we're never going to get a cat, are we? And I'm like, you know what? We're going to get a cat. I've just decided right now we're going to get a cat. Just give us 6 months. We'll get a cat, get through the winter. And during that 6-month period, from November through April, when we eventually adopted Kitty, I literally talked to everyone who was a cat owner about their cat. And John was one of my first phone calls because he had done it on television. He had kind of done it. And I'm like, hey, how's that working out for you? And we had a long conversation about it. And he, like every other person that's fallen in love with an animal, is like, oh, my best friend in the world has a dog, has always had a dog. He's always said, you got to get a dog. And I'm like, I'm not home enough to have a dog, And he would always say, you should give your wife a cat. You should get a cat. And, he's right. Second cat in. He's right. But John was an incredible resource. And the posters were another big part of that because all that started right around, because we adopted Kitty in 11 and 12. That was the period of time. Yeah. And, so your posters had an influence on me for sure. So count me amongst the converted, Sandy.
Well, John just told me a story recently I'd never heard before, that after one of his Shogun fights, one of the UFC champions was attending. So he and the UFC champion went out afterwards to get a cab to go to the after party, and the cab driver drove up, and he rolled down the window and he said, "Oh my God, you're famous." And John Rallo figured he was talking about the UFC champ. and the cab driver said, "You're that famous cat guy." So
Rallo now is not the Little League guy, the football player, right? He's not the organizer of UFC events or getting it legalized in the state or any of that. He's now the dude from the cat poster.
Yeah.
I love it. It's perfect. Can you imagine saying... I'm going, you know what? Every time I see him now, hey, John Rollo, you're the cat guy. Sandy, take care of yourself. We'll see you down at Pawject Runway on May 5th. Keep up the great work. And if you ever need me or my wife, she's really the nastier one of the two of us. Trust me, right? So if you want to put her on a poster, she's got her hair back now. It probably would have been more effective when she was bald. I don't think she'll shave back down for the third time for you.
No,
but you can get all her hair with the beauty of our cat anytime you want it, all right?
Thank you, Nestor. Thank you so much for having me on.
A pleasure. Sande Riesett from Show Your Soft Side. Pawject Runway is May 5th. It's at the Royal Farms Arena, and you guys know about Royal Farms being our sponsor. So let me tell you, it's a good time to tell you about the ROFO rewards. Make sure you're downloading the app, using that app when you're pumping the gas, you're getting the fried chicken, you get the free Western fries. Only thing making Western fries better than they already are is when they're free. Royal Farms, real fresh, real fast. I've got the Kona blend in the old Cole Roofing mug here this morning. It's all brought to you by Cole Roofing, as well as our friends at Howard Bank, our relentless commitment to being the best at everything they do. This is our community and charity series. I'm doing it every Thursday morning. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Snapchat, Instagram, streaming live on our Facebook Live, as well as our YouTube WNSTV channel. And don't forget, if you want to be a part of this, if you have a 501c3, if you run a charity, if you know a charity, if you got an event coming up you need a little oomph for, just toss me an email. Happy to help out. Each and every Thursday morning, it's my church, the Church of Nasty, the Reformed Nasty. I'm a Dudist priest. Every Thursday morning, we are promoting good causes and good thoughts and good mojo. It is our Be More Positive charity and community series. It is all brought to you by Howard Bank, as well as our friends at Cole Roofing. I am Nestor. We are WNST.net, AM 1570 and WNST Taos in Baltimore, and we never stop talking Baltimore sports.